What's going on, guys? It's Ricky here from Tech Bud Solutions, and in today's video I'll be going over 2 stocks that I'm buying this week. And while I kind of actually do feel like Ricky saying, just like random stocks all the time that I'm buying and selling, but I'm not trading these stocks. I'm actually looking to invest in them for the long term. But anyways, guys, before I get into the video, happy Valentine's Day. Today's Valentine's Day. Are you going to be spending today with your boo, or are you going to just be sitting at home alone, I don't know, maybe watching romantic movies, or just, hey, play Apex, new battle royale game, just play that game all night long. Who needs a girlfriend when you have video games, and who needs a girlfriend when you have the Robinhood app, right? But anyways, getting into the video, 2 stocks I'll be looking to buy, or I actually did buy this week. So the first stock is actually going to be Morgan Stanley, and why specifically I'm looking to buy this stock is, one, because I already hold a share of the stock. I kind of like it a lot as a company and overall as a stock. I've done my research prior to this video on why I like them. And specifically right now, they're down in the past year 23%. So they're on a pretty significant dip right now, and along with a lot of other financial stocks out there, as I'm sure you've noticed if you've followed them at all in the past few months or so, the financials sector has been one of the few sectors that hasn't rebounded since around December of 2018 or so, when the entire stock market had been down for a little bit of time, and the financials are still down, at least most of them anyways. And Morgan Stanley is one stock specifically I'm looking at that has been down as well. So Morgan Stanley, it's around 41 bucks right now. Let's see, they have a PE ratio of about 8, so it's actually a fairly low PE ratio in my opinion, and they also have a pretty nice dividend yield on them, almost 3% yield, and I think that's one thing that's pretty attractive to the stock right now. And besides that buying point, I mean, that dividend yield alone should, in my opinion, makes it somewhat of a buy, but that buying point, I really can't see the financials going too much lower right now. This is a pretty big dip. Some of these stocks are almost at a 5-year low right now. I mean, Morgan Stanley is relatively close to that. Actually, they're not that close to the 5-year low. They'd have to almost decrease half in price right now. But regardless, I still think they're actually at a pretty good buying point right now, and they're really a stock I like a lot. I don't think there's really a whole lot to say. I mean, they got pretty good financials all across the board. They're at a pretty fair valuation right now. They're at like a 52-week low. They have a good dividend yield, and overall, I think a pretty solid company that isn't going to offer like crazy growth or anything like that. But I think it would kind of be crazy not to be buying into some financials right now, considering how low they are. But anyways, moving into the next stock I'll be buying, the next stock is actually AT&T. And this has been one that I've been saying I've been gonna buying more and more shares for a while, because they are actually at a 5-year low right now. In the past 5 years, they're down about 7%, and in the past year, they're down 17%. So AT&T has been down a pretty significant amount, and they are definitely, in my opinion, at a really good buying point right now. I mean, I think they're an absolute steal below $30 or so. And if you look at some of some basic data on AT&T, right now they're around $29 or close to that $30 range. Let's see, they have a PE ratio of 10, which I think is pretty decent. But if we take a look at their dividend yield, which is actually around 7% right now, which is kind of crazy to see a company that large, $218 billion market cap, with a 7% dividend yield. I think that is just absolutely insane. You are rarely going to find stocks even close to that dividend yield with such, being such a huge company like that. I mean, AT&T, like I just said, a $200 billion company with a 7% dividend yield that is obviously still making money, still doing pretty well, and overall, in my opinion, I think is a very clear buy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how people will say, when you look at the analysts like recommendations or whatever, the analysts, I don't know, price targets or something like that, how they like shift from a buy to hold when like a stock is down a lot in the past 5 years or past year or so. If anything, I think that makes it a very clear buy. I don't ever understand those analysts' recommendations, wherever you're looking. I mean, according to Yahoo Finance right now, I mean, a pretty significant amount of expert analysis would call it a hold right now. But if a stock's at a 5-year low, and it's a stock you're looking to add to your portfolio, or you're holding in your portfolio, in my eyes, it makes a whole lot of sense to buy that stock right now, especially with that crazy dividend yield right now. I mean, you're just not going to find another stock that's as good as AT&T with a almost 7% dividend yield. That is absolutely insane. especially with that low of a PE ratio as well. I mean, that's just crazy. And if you look at some of their other numbers like price to sales, price to book, really all those basic ratios that you would look at when you're valuing a stock, in my opinion, they're at a pretty fair value right now. And just to be very clear, the stock is not going to be like a crazy growth stock or anything like that, or a stock that's going to be going up like 15% every single year. They're going to go up relatively slowly, but then when you take that dividend yield into account, and if you also take into account that they're at a very, very good buying point right now, I think that makes them more than a buy. So those are the two stocks that I actually bought this week, but I still think there's actually quite a few stocks out there that are at a pretty good buying point. Even though a lot of the stock market has gone up since it's a pretty big drop in December time, 2018, there are still quite a few stocks, especially some financial stocks that are still at pretty good buying points, and actually really good buying points, I should say. Like one in particular, I know, Goldman Sachs. Not one I own in my portfolio, but I know it's a pretty popular one. I think they are at a beautiful buying point right now as well, and there actually are still some tech stocks out there that are at pretty decent ones, especially some of those higher growth ones that typically don't have very large dips. Like off the top of my head, I know Facebook, they are at a pretty decent one. They were at a better one a few months back, but if you weren't able to get into them then, or back then, like I personally would feel pretty comfortable getting into them now, because they still are down a little bit. It's just not as much as they were down in the past. I mean, because I feel like with stocks like that, especially those high growth tech stocks that were down a pretty significant amount in December time, those stocks aren't really gonna have those major dips too often. They're pretty much going to be growing. Obviously, that's why they're high growth tech stocks. But regardless, I think some of those stocks you could still find them at a pretty fair buy-in point. But anyways, guys, that's really it for this video. Didn't want to make this one too long. Just wanted to share with you guys what two stocks that I am buying this week and that I already did buy, and maybe perhaps some other ones I'll be looking to buy as well. But other than that, guys, if you're new to the channel, I talk about the stock market, personal finance, entrepreneurship, personal finance. Did I say personal finance? I did say that. Investing, things like that. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, definitely head over to my channel. And if you like what you're seeing, consider subscribing. And also in the description, if you're new to investing and you want to sign up with a free online brokerage, there's a referral link to M1 Finance, and you get $10 when you sign up, actually. So if you're interested in that, definitely consider clicking that. It really helps out the channel a lot. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching.